Chapter 16. Bite Back. She looked down at her clothes. Butler Tom gave this to her yesterday. This is already considered one of the more conservative styles. Everything was covered, so where was the sexy part? Seeing her confused gaze, William Walton walked towards the dining table with a smile. Butler Tom had his breakfast set up already. William Walton said to her, "Come over for breakfast." "No, I think I'll go to the school cafeteria to eat. In the future, Benjamin will occasionally eat breakfast with us. While eating breakfast, tell him the questions he did not know about last night, so we can use the time wisely." She walked over and sat down. However, Benjamin Walton didn't come over during the whole breakfast time. She was having breakfast with him in embarrassment, and he was staring at her. After dinner, she left the villa in his car. The driver took her to school, and then to the office, because it was on the way. At the school gate, William Walton said, "This afternoon, I will have Mr. Carter come to pick you up." "No need, I can go by myself. It would be better to save time on the road and spend it in a reasonable place." He really knew how to be meticulous. Was he going to help his brother enslave her? After class in the afternoon, she went back to her dormitory to pack. After she was done packing, she left a note for Sienna Hunt in her dorm room before leaving with her luggage. Passing by the school Wutong Road, she coincidentally met Avery Harris face to face. The two of them saw each other, and the path did not diverge, so she could only brace herself and continue forward. Avery Harris looked at her with resentment in his eyes. He stopped in front of her. Seeing that she was about to continue walking, he grabbed her wrist. "Laura Green, don't you have anything to say to me?" Her expression was cold. "No. If you don't have anything you want to tell me, then all right. If it was me, I would have heard it all from my mother." "Heh, Laura Green, you can do it. You actually want to trade me for a job." She frowned slightly. "Actually, this is the purpose for you to be together with me, right? You've never liked me, and you only want to use me, right?" Laura Green sighed and did not respond to him. She wanted to pull her hand away from his wrist, but he wouldn't let her free. "Let go. Do you also feel ashamed that I have seen through your motives? Didn't you think I'd know sooner or later? The person who gave you the chance to work was my mom." Avery Harris yelled in pain. She looked at him, her face aggrieved and angry. He said coldly, "What, you have nothing else to say?" "Laura Green, why did you use me? Your mother has talked to me countless times, and the topic is always the same. If you break up with my son, I can let you stay in school to teach." Her voice was not loud, but he could hear it clearly. "Before this, I had always firmly believed that if I worked hard enough and studied well, I would be completely qualified to stay by myself. Even if I knew that the people in power didn't like me, I would still be eliminated. But in the face of your mother's threats, I never thought of compromising, because I believe in myself and in you. Avery Harris, you know, I even thought of marrying you. Even if I was kicked out of school by your mother, I could still find another job. However, you personally gave me a resounding slap the moment I saw that scene. Guess what I was thinking?" Chapter 17. Neil. If you like, Avery Harris looked at her in pain. He didn't know any of this. Her eyes were cold. "I was thinking, you destroyed me. If I wasn't with you, then I could have relied on my own strength to stay in school. But because I was with you, even if I stayed in school, it would become dishonorable. Because of you, I suffered humiliation that I didn't have to endure. Do you know how sad I am? I am not an orphan. I have a mother. Why am I an orphan?" At the end, she clenched her fists in grievance. He felt like he had been slapped in the face. "I'm sorry, Laura Green. I'm really sorry. I don't know about this. I apologize for my mother's words and actions. Why didn't you tell me about this before?" She took a breath to calm herself down. "What can I tell you? You want to go home and fight with your mother? Or did you become an unfilial son because of me? Let you break up with your family for me? Or if I told you, wouldn't you have gone to bed with Elsie Clark?" "Elsie Clark and I were just having a misunderstanding. I don't know why." Avery Harris closed his eyes with a face full of regret. "Laura Green, tell me, how do you want to forgive me? As long as you tell me, no matter what the price, I'm willing to do it." Her gaze fell to the road some distance away where Elsie Clark was running towards them. She looked in that direction and sneered. Avery Harris turned around and saw Elsie Clark. He frowned. "Laura Green, Elsie Clark ran to their side and held Laura Green's hand. "Laura Green, it's all my fault. Please don't blame him anymore. He's really pitiful. He really—" Avery Harris shouted. "Elsie Clark, stop causing trouble for me. Go, I beg you. Hurry up and leave." Elsie Clark kneeled down in front of Laura Green. "I'm the one who's despicable. I liked him first. I know I've let you down, but—" "Elsie Clark," Laura Green interrupted her annual drama. "You tell me, Avery Harris doesn't love me anymore. He loves you." "Elsie Clark," Laura Green interrupted her annual drama. "You tell me, Avery Harris doesn't love me anymore." Elsie Clark stiffened. "I didn't say that. Laura Green, I know you hate me, but don't slander me. Regardless of whether you admit it or not, I have to tell you that Avery Harris is not a person like this. Perhaps he will have a different relationship with someone, but he will not fall in love because of a person's body. But he will not fall in love because of a person. To me, he may be a trash, but he is not a pervert or a hooligan." After she finished, she turned around and dragged her suitcase away. Elsie Clark clenched her fists. Damn it, that slut Laura Green. Even if she died, she would drag her down with her, wouldn't she? Seeing that Avery Harris was about to go after Laura Green, she reached out her hand to hold Avery Harris's hand and began to cry. Avery, I really didn't say that. I didn't. Avery Harris shook her off and said, I will not love you, and I will never fall in love with you. I love Laura Green. I know very well what kind of effort I put in to get her heart, so I love her. I will love her for the rest of my life. Avery Harris left Elsie Clark behind and left. Elsie Clark slowly stood up and wiped the tears off her face. She looked at Laura Green, who had already walked far away, and gritted her teeth. Laura Green, you just wait and see. I won't let you go. Chapter 18, Hero Save Beauty. On Saturday, she would study with Benjamin Walton in the morning and give supplementary lessons to another student in the afternoon. Leaving her student's house, Butler Tom called her and asked when she would be home for dinner. She looked at the time. Butler Tom, I'm not going back to eat tonight. Butler Tom looked at William Walton, who was sitting at the dining table. That? When will you be back? I'll send a car to pick you up. No need. I have to work Saturday night. I'll be busy until very late. I'll just have to go back by myself then. After hanging up, Butler Tom looked at William Walton. Master San, Miss Green still needs to work. She won't be back until very late. William Walton hugged his chest. After sitting for a while, he said, go and investigate where she works part-time. He wanted to be sure. Was this woman intentionally trying to avoid him? 9 p.m., nighttime bar. Laura Green was dressed in a well-fitting work suit. She was shuttling through the crowd, ordering orders, serving drinks, and moving her legs quickly. Amongst the crowd, she was exceptionally eye-catching. She had a tall ponytail, a pretty face, and a slim figure. Even though she was wearing a conservative work uniform, she could still be noticed at first glance. It was for this reason that she was often held back by lustful guests, asking her how much she wanted for the night she bought her, just as she did now. She glanced at him as usual, with the smile of a signboard, looking at him. Sir, I'm sorry. I'm just a waiter here. Hey, why are you acting so noble? I want you to accompany me tonight. Then, sir, I'm afraid you'll have to go for a sex change operation first. What do you mean? The young guest said, glaring at her. Are you calling me sexually deficient? Her smile was still kind. No, I'm telling you, I like women. The man was stunned for a moment. According to her past experiences, the other party would usually throw her off in disgust at this kind of situation. But this time, this person clearly didn't play according to reason. He pulled her forward. She stumbled and fell into the soft sofa. The man stepped forward, blocking her from standing up. Now that you mention it, I'm more interested in you. I haven't slept with a lesbian before. Good timing. I'll start from you today. People were coming and going, but no one helped. As if it was normal for this to happen here, the man walked up and propped her up on the sofa. His eyes were filled with an aura of scoundrel. Little girl, you've met me today. It's your bad luck. You've offended someone you shouldn't have. He stepped forward. Seeing that he wanted to kiss her, she raised her hand and slapped him. This angered the man. The man raised his hand and was about to counterattack when his wrist was grabbed. The man was enraged. He turned his head around and shouted, "Who dares to risk his life?" Before he could finish, this man had already viciously punched him in the face. The man fell to the ground, clutching his aching chin. Before he could even react, he was dragged out by a few strong men. Laura Green was lying on the sofa. She looked at William Walton, who was filled with hostility and was stunned. William Walton raised his eyebrows. Did you want to ask me why I'm here? She came back to her senses and stood up, looking at him. She was indeed very surprised to see him here. William Walton crossed his arms in front of his chest as he looked at her. After 10 seconds, he reached out 2 fingers and poked her lightly in the head. I'm finding out more and more that Miss Green really is a mysterious existence. Chapter 19. Don't thank me verbally. Laura Green ignored William Walton. She seemed to have thought of something and ran out. William Walton followed him out of curiosity. Laura Green walked to the door and saw that the man who had just bullied her was still being controlled by the person outside the door. She walked over and said with a cold expression, "Who asked you to come?" When the man looked at the man behind Laura Green, his eyes were filled with fear. Laura Green said, "As long as you tell the person who ordered you, I'll let you off." Really? Will you really let me go? Since you're so afraid, you should know who the person behind me is. Right now, other than trusting me, do you have any other methods to save yourself? The man hurriedly said, "It was a little girl who found me yesterday and gave me your picture. She gave me $1,000 to scare you in the bar today. She also said that if I could get something that would be bad for you, she could give me more money." What's her name? I don't know. It's the first time I've seen that girl. Laura Green thought for a moment and took out her cell phone. She found a photo and handed it to him. Is it this person? The man took a glance and frowned. At that time, she was wearing a hat and a mask, so I only saw her eyes. Those eyes seem a little similar, but I'm not very sure. Is she as tall as I am, with a very thin voice? Yes, you are about the same height. Her voice is very soft. Laura Green clenched her fist, a trace of resentment filling her eyes. The man said, "I've told you everything I know. Please let me go." Laura Green turned around and looked at William Walton. Let him go. Are you sure? Laura Green didn't say anything and only nodded. William Walton walked in front of the man. Leave the northern city yourself, don't let me see you again, scram. He motioned for them to let the man go. After the man thanked him, he quickly crawled and rolled away. William Walton walked up to Laura Green. It looks like you already know who wants to harm you. She was silent. Do you want me to help you teach her a lesson? She looked at him. No need. I will settle my own grudge myself. His lips curled up into a cold smile. This sort of woman was truly rare. Mr. Walton, thank you for what you did today. As I said, I don't like to be thanked verbally. Then, how about I buy you a cup of coffee, even if it's a thank you gift for letting me take advantage of you just now? Take advantage of me? It was a new word. If you insist, then I'll reluctantly go with you. She was speechless. Actually, he didn't have to be so reluctant, okay? Then Mr. Walton, wait for me for a moment. I'll go in and change my clothes and get my salary. I'll be out soon. Laura Green ran back to the bar. Within 10 minutes, she had changed into her own clothes and ran out. William Walton asked, where do you want to go for coffee? Mr. Walton, let me bring you to a good place. Seeing her mysterious look, William Walton smiled, feeling some anticipation. The two got on the car. Laura Green found the address on her phone and handed it to Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter circled around and drove the car to the beach. He looked at the navigation system on her cell phone and wondered, Miss Green, did I go the wrong way? That's right, this is the place. She looked at William Walton and smiled. Mr. Walton, you can get off now. William Walton looked at her and frowned. There was no coffee shop here. Chapter 20. Mr. Walton, so you know how to laugh. Laura Green looked at him with a smile in her eyes. Mr. Walton, please. She got out of the car first. William Walton looked around to confirm before getting off. He was here to see what the hell she was up to. Laura Green walked past the roadside rocks and headed for a huge U-shaped boulder not far from the beach. When he reached the center of the U-shaped stone, he saw that there were 3 flat rocks inside, arranged in an ingenious manner according to the size of the stone, just like a stone table and 2 stone chairs. The sea breeze outside was very strong, but here, there was only a light breeze. It was very comfortable. She sat down on a flat rock and switched on the flashlight. She took 2 plastic disposable paper cups out of her bag and set them on the big stone table. Then she took out the thermos and 2 packs of instant coffee and poured them into the cup. She skillfully brewed the coffee and handed it to William Walton, who was still standing there. He did not move, but said lightly, Is this the place where you want to buy me coffee? Yeah, doesn't Mr. Walton think it's good here? He raised his eyebrows. He didn't know since when his face had become so worthless. This is my secret base. It's my first time bringing someone else here. He took the coffee and sat down on the other side. It wasn't dark because of the moonlight and the faint light from her cell phone. You said this is your secret base? Well, my mother brought me here. This sea has not been developed, so basically no one will come here. Every time I feel bad, I would come here to sit for a while. It's very quiet and comfortable here. She pointed to the top of her head. William Walton raised his head. The night sky was very beautiful. As long as you sit here with the sea breeze, listen to the sound of the sea and look at the beautiful night sky, I will feel that life is still pretty good and the future is still pretty promising. Don't you think? He raised his eyebrows. Not really. She shrugged. It seems capitalists don't think the same as poor people like me. No wonder I'm poor. He laughed out loud, a rare laughter coming out of his mouth. She looked at him in surprise. Mr. Walton, so you know how to laugh. He rolled his eyes at her. Is there anyone in this world who can't laugh? But I've never seen you laugh like this before. Are you familiar with me? Not really, she said, shrugging her shoulders. She took a sip of her coffee and looked up at the night sky. She hadn't enjoyed it in a long time. The surroundings suddenly quieted down. William Walton tried to take a sip of coffee and frowned. What is this stuff that's so bad to drink? She looked at him. Mr. Walton, it can't be that you've never had instant coffee before, right? Indeed not. She laughed. I'm sorry, but I forgot again that you are a capitalist. Next time. No, I'd better not treat Mr. Walton to a drink from now on. After all, we are not on the same level. We won't have another chance. I'll drink it, she said, bringing the coffee cup in front of him to her. He quickly pulled his coffee cup back to his side. I just said it's bad. When did I say I wasn't going to drink it? She felt embarrassed for a moment. Everything was fine. Why was he so angry? Do capitalists have regular menopause? Just now at the bar, why are you so sure that the man was ordered?